Deborah and this is my guide dog Lewis. I have a condition called macular degeneration, and it's quite a rare form of it because normally it happens in older people. Basically it means my retinas are degenerating, so I'm losing vision all the time. I have very little vision in my right eye and very patchy vision in my left, so I can't see very much at all. I have particular issues with locating objects and things moving around, so if you can imagine I'm on the tube and it's quite dark in the tunnel and there are lots of people moving around, that's quite a difficult environment for me. I was diagnosed with macular degeneration when I was 25 years old, so I'd had quite a good go at life before I was diagnosed. When I was diagnosed, I was told that I would probably have about 10 years before it started to cause me a problem. So in some ways I was quite lucky that I had an early diagnosis, which meant that I was able to mentally and emotionally prepare myself for my sight loss, but also it meant that I had an opportunity to do some things in life that I probably wouldn't have done if I hadn't known. Did my master's degree. I learnt to ride my motorcycle and went off motorcycle touring with my friends. So it does make you realise that life's quite short. So when I got the diagnosis, obviously that was quite a shock. I was still relatively young and I knew that I had a difficult life ahead of me. I've been a civil servant for quite some time, and I was a civil servant before I got my diagnosis. So I've always been a career civil servant. I've been quite lucky in that I've been able to find roles within public service that I've quite enjoyed, and I was able to choose quite an interesting career path because the civil service isn't just about pushing paper around. There are some quite interesting policy areas that you can get involved in. I use assistive technology to help me with my work. I have a large format screen. I also have magnification software which allows me to manipulate some of the tools on the screen. So, for example, I've got a big brightly coloured cursor so that I can pick it out more easily when it's moving around. It will highlight text for me. If my eyes are tired, it will read things to me. So I do have things that help me to get through the day. So when my sight first started to drop off about 5 or 6 years ago, I'd already started thinking about how I was going to get around. There's quite a lot of information out there because people want you to be able to get on with your life and work. And I'd always suspected that I might quite like a guide dog when it came to it. When my sight first started to go and I started having real problems getting around, and I noticed that because I was starting to bump into things and not seeing people come in the other way and so on. When you're in a crowd, there's a little dance that you do which is based on very subtle eye contact where people just move around each other. I can't do that because I can't see them. I can't see their eyes and they probably wonder what I'm doing, so I go crashing into them. So I started to realise that I probably needed a bit of help with my mobility, and the first place that I started with was a white cane. And that's great for me because I could feel my way, I could make a bit of space with it. You know, it's quite a useful tool, but it's also quite a barrier, and it does build a huge barrier between you and people find it quite intimidating and difficult to talk to you, or particularly when you're on the tube or somewhere dark, people can't always see it. So even with my white cane, things weren't working out too well, and I was spending quite a lot of time populating A&E departments and getting patched up about once a week. So I went to talk to the mobility team at Guide Dogs and said, I'm having some real issues with this, it's not really working for me, and they started to do some assessment work with me and said, well, you know, we think actually this could work for you. So I was sitting at my desk one day and I got the phone call that I'd been waiting for, and was told that there was this young man called Lewis who would like to meet me. And 2 days later we went off on our blind date, and so yes, we all decided that that was a go and that we would go into training and be matched and that Lewis would come home with me. So yeah, that was lovely. It was a real breakthrough moment for me, and quite emotional as well, I think, because having been through this battle with London, suddenly I felt like I could claim my space back with my dog. I'm sure every guide dog owner would tell you that their guide dog's the best, but mine really is. And I say that because I think guide dogs are quite elite when it comes to working dogs, but he's like the SAS of the guide dog world, because he has to be a real commando battling through the traffic and the tourists and getting on the underground every day to come to work. So you know, he really is the elite of the elite, I think. As part of the guide dogs assessment, they want to know what my lifestyle is and what the kind of things are that I do. And I'd said to them, well, I travel a lot. Travelling was one of the things that I'd done a huge amount of once I'd been diagnosed with macular degeneration, because I wanted to see the world. And I thought, actually, I quite enjoy that, and that's not something that I particularly want to give up, and why should I? Because I've got a vision impairment. So when guide dogs were thinking about what dog might suit me, they were factoring the fact that I would want to travel and I'd want to have a dog that was up for that as well, and Lewis most certainly is. And we decided to go up the Shard, so Lewis was the first dog to go to the top of the Shard, and they made quite a fuss of him as well. Every moment with my guide dog is a standout moment, particularly because we're in central London and we do get a lot of attention, and we've met some quite interesting people. I think one of my best standout moments though was last summer. Lewis and I were involved in a theatre production, and one of the audience members was Mr. Stephen Fry, and after the performance we were just going through the bar because I was taking Lewis out the back to pee, which is what you have to do at the end of the day, and on the way through he stopped us and he said, "Ah, this is the guide dog," and he stopped Lewis in his tracks and wanted to know everything about him. Well, I quite like where we are now actually, and I could keep going like this for a while. I mean, I think we've got it all. We've got a great job, lots of really good people around us. It's a very stimulating environment. We live and work in central London, so there's always so much to do, so many good friends to see and do things with, and we've got a lovely apartment in Islington, which I would never leave because everything's on the doorstep and we're really well catered for. We've got some great neighbours and people around us at home, so I'm loving life.